everybody. I'm here. I just forgot to set up a live stream ahead like I normally do so you know where I'm going to be. And then I said, okay, hurry, set it up right now. And to get it to be announced, I have to set a time. It wouldn't let me set until 3:15. But I came on early anyway. Hello, everyone, and happy February. Happy February. Oh, look, Bonnie is here. Bonnie, you see my towel? I accidentally spilt my can of Coke, some of it, a good amount of it. And I thought, I know where that towel is. I can't use that towel, so I quickly found another one. I couldn't mess up the beautiful flamingo towel. So, yes, and I've got pretty pink and red fabrics. And I came up this morning, said, I want to make something quick, easy, and Valentine's Day like. So I am quickly whipping up something as we speak. Hello, everyone. It is so good to see you. Look at this. Vicki Lemire. Kathleen Ziegler is back. And of course, our Bonnie, our Miss Nikki, who's such a sweetie. And Susan, of course, we couldn't do anything. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, I've got this pattern and it comes with templates. And I was thinking if we can give them the page site. That's why I tried to send it to you early. So it's like this time she wouldn't have to be frantically looking it up. And I don't know if that's what works. I'm not real good at that stuff yet. And, oh, you know what? I forgot to bring down Kiwi. Oh, shoot. Sure. If Cheryl comes in, tell her, can we wait till next week? Because I don't even have her cage or her playpen set up in here. I'm so sorry. But I promise I'm going to bring her back next week. So, okay. So, yes, the pattern that we're making today comes from a woman called On Point Quilter. And she's really a neat lady. If any of you out there have the EQ8 program, the quilt program? If you do, and if you're like me, we don't know how to make certain things work, then this is a lady you're going to want to get to know. She has a website, and oh, thank you, sweetie. She has a website, and she has free little classes and little activities to kind of loosen you up and get you to try the EQ8 in depth. And then she also has classes you can subscribe to where she really teaches you good, goes more in depth with it. And she's wonderful. She's easy to understand. Wonderful, wonderful lady. I think her first name is Carrie. Really, really nice. So if any of you have EQ8 and you don't know how to use it, you're sadly wasting a wonderful program. So check out online On Point Quilter, and she's wonderful. Really, really good lady. So, because what I did is I went and typed in online free Valentine pattern. And when I saw hers, I went, oh, that's great. Because what I'm wanting to do today is to do a project that's fast and easy. Because if you're like me, you think of doing these things a week before the holiday. It's hard to do a little quilt or wall hanging in that span of time. So this one, I promise you, is going to be pretty darn easy. So give me just a second. Everyone come in and say hi. Did I see Nadine is here? I love our Nadine. And I wanted to tell you, I absolutely love our time group. Y'all are so much fun. And I don't get a chance to come on as much as I want, but that's one of my things I want to do this year. It is so much fun to read what y'all write and to see that the family, the community that you have built, the ideas you share. It is so good for the heart. So I wanted, if anybody is here that would like to join our Time to Quilt group on Groups.io, please send me an email and I will get you an invitation. And I know Susan will, but it's Our Time to Quilt at twc.com. And I will make sure I get you an invitation. So, but it's a great group. And I'm so thrilled. When I ran a quilt group here, I started a group and had very little activity on it. Y'all really use it, and it's wonderful. And I love that you show your photos of your lives and the things you do, the work you do. It's just wonderful. So, and I promise I will make sure when I say goodbye to y'all today, I'll make sure to set up next week's live stream, because it really helps for y'all to know exactly where to go and not wonder. And I've noticed that the notice sometimes that you get doesn't show up till 15 minutes later. So I'll make sure to do that. Oh, are you enjoying the Rubick's Cube quilt? In fact, well, let's start out talking about that today. I've got my things to talk about today, and I like this. It keeps me organized. So, okay, let me tell you about the Rubick's Cube. Oh, I have one behind me. Oh, look at that. Okie dokie. Oops, I forgot I had it behind me. It is a fun, fast, easy quilt if, big if, cut them accurately, put tape on your sewing machine. Do you know how to do this? Let me show you. Let me show you real quickly. You take a ruler, okay? And this is not the best one. Let me get a better ruler. If I have a ruler, well, let me see. I don't have been keeping things neat and tidy. Oh, there's one. I say I've been keeping things neat and tidy as I shove stuff in the drawer and close it. All right. What you do, if you have a project and you really, 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 really want to be accurate, then, oops, okay. How did I do that before that I forget. But anyway, what you can do is use masking tape, or I prefer painter's tape because it shows so good. And so what you would do is come in here and take a ruler that has a good 1/4 of an inch mark. See how these have marks every 1/4 of an inch. You lift up your presser foot, and let me see if I can turn on a light to that. I don't know if that'll show you any better, but you lift up your presser foot and you put right where your needle is. Actually, you would do it this way. Right where your needle is, you put the presser foot down on the 1/4 inch mark of your ruler. Right down on the 1/4 inch mark of your ruler. Okay? And that way you know exactly. Now here, what you want to do is you want to make sure the ruler is square. So pick a line on the on the sewing machine. Pick a line like you on the ruler and on the sewing machine, the edge here. Make sure this ruler is square. Then now I already have these vinyl things I bought, but I would take, let me tear a big piece. I would take a piece of blue painter's tape, line it right up down that ruler. Now let me move it back into position. Okay. Line the piece of painter's tape up right perfectly with it. Then I would take, and let me tear this off, and put another layer right in line with that. and another layer, and right in line with that, right on top of the blue lines, so that you have a nice ridge to run your, see the ridge? There you go. Michelle Lang, that's beautiful. And so anyway, once you have this marked and you know your square, put that tape. Now let me tell you something that I learned. Years and years ago, I was working on a quilt. And you know how I get bored. Whoops, hold on. You know how I get bored with repetition, right? And so I was sitting working on this quilt, and I was leading the fabric in. I do have some strips. Let's say I was sewing these two strips together. Here's the needle. I was being kind of sloppy, and I had the fabric over to the side, because I told myself, well, as long as it was straight when it got to the needle, it was okay. Guess what? It wasn't. All those things were off because I came in at the needle at an angle. So that's why I would like for you to, here is it. Here, that's it. That's what I was trying to do. Here, having this nice ridge you can bump up against, then you can line your strips up like this. And that way you go in straight, you sew straight, and you're all taken care of. You don't worry as much about what happens behind the needle. But when I go in to sew, I keep these fabrics up against that edge the entire time. So I'll show you again what I was telling you. I was kind of sewing like this. And let's say I was going to do it this way. I kind of had the edges. I forget how they were pulled. And I thought, well, as long as it was at a 1/4 of an inch under the needle, it threw everything off. So this is one of these quilts that it's really better to mark your machine, measure, take that ruler and make sure your needle is exactly a 1/4 of an inch from where that edge goes in. Okay? And in my old days, in my immaturity, I used to not want to take the time to do that. But you saw, it didn't take long. And I'm playing with the camera today. It didn't take that long. And the time it saves ripping it out, or the rest of my life being unhappy every time I see the results, come on, it's easy. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. And that is that I took out, Rubick's Cube. It's a lot of fun. Straight line sewing, cute. You make your piles of your thing. You just follow the chart. Fun. But I know 25 times I put the blocks in the wrong order. You look at it, you're looking at the little component. You see how it's supposed to be the white one on top, the darker one on the bottom, this here, and I would do it backwards. I have no idea why. My brain just saw it backwards. It could be because I'm left-handed. It could be because I'm a Deb. I don't know. But 25 times, at least, I had to take apart pieces, because then when I went to put it up against something else, I said, that doesn't look right. So if I made one and I double-checked it was correct, I'd set it in front of me while I sewed to just help make sure. But one time, this block right here, I did all 10 of them wrong. All 10. Did them backwards. Had to take it out and do it again. Because you look at it, you keep thinking, well, I'm sure it works. I just have to turn it differently. No. But anyway, I laughed. My seam ripper was right here beside me. It was my best friend making this quilt. And as you can see, it's worth it to get it right, because that's it's a fun design, a lot of fun. So now what I want to do, the other thing to help you if you make this Rubik's Cube is you've got the line, the 1/4-inch line lined up perfectly. You're going to cut them very carefully. Then you're going to sew in straight all the way in. Don't lean in and pull it in. Sew straight in all the way. Then now what I'm going to show you, the other tip that I think would be really helpful is something I learned from Alex Anderson back when she had her show on HGTV. Okay, so I'm going to bring the camera back down and show you. And let me tell you, this is so important. I have a rule where I only take out a seam 3 times, but I had to break that rule twice at least in this one because I really wanted them to line up right. I didn't want them to be like this. It just shows when you've got such a graphic design. So this is not hard. It just takes a little more care. Now, if you're lucky enough and all of these nest together, that can make it easier. But what I found sewing this is having all of those fabrics, those lumps of fabrics, tended to want to shift, especially with my Elna here. It would kind of catch a little bit on the bulk. So let me show you what Alex Anderson taught me on that episode. I've taught classes this, everything. It's so good. All right, you ready? You take and put this needle right in at 1/4 inch, right on the stitching line, okay? I was noticing how pretty the stitches are. It's good to get your machine tuned up because those are beautiful stitches. You put this in right here at 1/4 inch down, right through the seam line. Then here's where I want to match these seams and sew it perfectly. So then what do? You push it through at 1/4 inch in, right on the seam line. See that? And then you push your fabrics together. Now, you don't move that needle. Not now. You see this? Yep, she's another lefty. You're right, Susan. So now what you're going to do, you leave this straight. You're going to put a pin on this side and a pin on that side, right close to it. You can't pin far away. Fabric stretches and moves, okay, guys? Oh, Mariella's hand piecing. That's great. All right, now are you ready? You come in here, make sure that this is straight up and down. You don't want this to be this way because if you pin it with this pin at an angle like that, it means your points aren't exactly there. In fact, you can even kind of see them right in there. So what you do is you straighten it back up. If that pin is straight, you've got your points right where you want them. Then you come in on this side and you put a pin. Make sure this one still sticking up and down straight, okay? Then you come in here with that still perpendicular, but straight up and down to the fabric. Then you come in here and you put another pin right up. Look at that. See how far I put that pin? And look, see how it's pretty darn straight. See that? Now you take out this pin, okay? Now let's see. This is her guaranteed way to get a perfect match, okay? I'll put it down and sew it, and then, and be careful when it comes to sewing over the pins. You can stop right at that point and remove it, or you can slow down like I do and just let it walk over it. But don't sew over pins fast. One other thing I learned from Alex Anderson is she sewed over a pin and it broke her main shaft of her sewing machine. So she was sewing fast and that needle hit her sewing needle hit the pin, and that was that. All right, so let's open this up and see. Now, by anybody's judgment, that's a perfect intersection. Okay? Susan, since you missed it, I'm going to do it again for you because, Susan, you do so much for us. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this too. I had to take apart 30 of these seams before I finally wised up and started using this method. You want to match these seams, okay? Let me pick out a color that has more contrast. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do this inner here, okay? So you lay these right sides together. You get a sewing. This, if I teach you anything, this is the very best thing I could ever teach you because it works. You take and put your needle in, your pin in, right at 1/4 of an inch, right on that seam. Okay, do you see the seam? Then you put it back through the other fabric, right at 1/4 of an inch, right on that seam. Okay, see how right there? Then you push your two fabrics together. Make sure this needle is perfectly up and down straight or perpendicular to the fabric. See how it's perfectly straight? Now leave that be and hold your fingers on the fabric so that pin stays straight up and down. Then you take another pin, and while this is straight up and down, you come over and straight up and down, you come over and you put this pin in. Come on, why is it giving me a hard time this time? And you make sure this pin has to be straight up and down. If it were leaning, it means you have tilted the seams and now they are not meeting well. So you want it to, by itself, now if you have to make it stay up there, it's not as good. But see how it's straight? Now you take so we have 3 pins to make this one intersection perfect. So now, with it being straight, we come over here and we put a second pin. And you have to be very close to that actual seam. If you were to pin over here and over here, fabric stretches and it will change. It will not be stable enough. So see how I've got this and see how it's still straight? Now you take that pin out. Now you take that out. Then you come to your machine and you put it under your needle. And I try not to sew, and you've already got your nice edge here for your 1/4 inch and your fabrics are even. I mean, we're in good shape. When you go to sew slowly and carefully over the needles or take the needles out. But do this slowly. That extra second you take will save you from having to rip it out and do it again. So now, let's see if this magic thing I learned from Alex Anderson, let's see how it did for this one. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Yeah, don't use a crooked pin. Oh, that's so cute. But isn't that amazing? So it works. And if you do that, yes, it takes a couple seconds extra, but it's a whole lot faster than ripping that seam out. Okay? So I hope I taught you that. I sewed fabric that wasn't supposed to be sewed together, but I did it for y'all. Aren't I a woman? So I'll take that back. What I'm doing now is, let me pull this back up. Let me see if I can do it a little faster than last time so you're not looking at an enlargement of my hand. Okay, well, almost. Okay, here we go. What I've decided is do you see my quilt. Well, I'm going to put a border on it, which they called for, and I did the stitching at a crooked way so I can have it nice and smooth. But this is going to be my border. And then I'm going to use a denim color blue binding. But I thought it needs a little something else. Well, lately Diana Wright has been inspiring me with her bindings. So what I did yesterday is took all my scraps that I had already cut into 2.5 inch lengths and made them into 2.5 inch squares. I'm going to sew them all together end to end. See how I'm doing here? Okay, I'm going to take and put them end to end. Now, I didn't want to just put them end to end and go around because it kind of competes with what's already there. So I decided, being inspired by Miss Diana Wright, that I'm going to fold them in half and make a flange. And I don't know if you're aware of a flange, what a flange is, but it's a fun little way to do something for a quilt. You make them narrow because they stay loose, and you don't want them to be so big that they end up crunching and contorting and, you know. And so what I'm going to end up doing is before I put this border on the quilt, I'm going to do it, the flange is going to be on the outside edge right before the binding. So I'm going to stitch it on the outside of the border with all of the raw edges even, and then sew it on the quilt, and then I will sew my binding right on that. And so that way I will have I'll have the white and then a flange of color. And see, with it having it thinner, I think it'll look nice. I don't know. What do you think? We'll hope. So, and if not, I'll take it apart and change it up because you know what? It's just fabric. So, all right. So those are the things I needed you to know about the Rubik's Cube. It comes in real handy if you have, like, that's just a portable, cheap little wardrobe you hang hangers on, and I covered it with flannel, but I pinned it up. I would pin each row on there, so I make sure that I would get them in the right direction. Let me tell you, this is something else that I can tell you. This page is one of the most important pages in the whole pattern. What the designer has done is you have two different types of blocks, block 1 and block 2. But when you put the quilt together, you have to, each row, you turn the blocks. Okay? So in the top row, you use block 1 this certain way across the whole row. You alternate 1, block 2, block 1. But the next row, you start with a block 2, but you've turned it, and you've turned block 1. You turn them. So pay attention. Pay attention to your colors. Row 1, the yellows are at the top. Row 2, the oranges are at the top. Row 3, the yellows are at the top. Row 4, the oranges are at the top. Row 5, the yellows are at the top. So just pay attention. Does that sound good? So I just thought if any of y'all, I'm tickled some of y'all are going to try it. And I think it's fun. And it doesn't take that much fabric. And I want you just to enjoy yourself. So now I've given you all the helpful hints I can give you. You're on your own. Well, one more. Okay. One more. When you go to measure your borders to put on the quilt, I used to think, well, I'll just make the borders in one long piece and just put it on the quilt, sew down. When I get to the bottom, cut it, turn the quilt around, do the next side. No. What happens when you do that? you get wavy quilts. Have you ever had a quilt, you come to the border and it's laying on the table like this? What you do is you measure across the center of your quilt. You measure across the center horizontally to get the border measurement for the top and the bottom. You measure across the center of your quilt vertically to get the measurement for the border for each side. And the reason you do the center is because it's the most stable measurement. The edges, by the time quilts get out to the edge, there's no guarantee anymore. It's a party going on at the edges of your quilt. So measure down the center each way, write those down, then take and carefully, without stretching, lay out your border, measure it exactly. Now, you have to decide how do you want your top and bottom borders to run a little long? You decide that, then add that much to it. But what I want you to do after that, so let's say the first side borders, all you have to do is run it from, if you're not going to do miters, just run it from top to bottom, okay? So you've measured it, it's 60 inches. What I want you to do is cut the border, side border, 60 inches. Then I want you to mark the middle of that 60-inch border. So put a pin at 30 inches. Then pin it to your quilt at the top and the bottom, even with the top and bottom. Then make sure the pin at the 30 inches is right in the middle of the quilt, right in the distance, 30 inches down that quilt or 30 inches up from the bottom of that quilt, and pin that. That's all the pinning you really have to do unless you want to. But what you're doing is you're going to be easing, controlling. You are the boss of the border. You are going to control that the quilt border will lay smooth. And you're going to force the quilt into the 60-inch border that it's supposed to be. Okay? Get that? If the border or the other side of the quilt seems a little bigger than the other side, put the fullness against your feed dogs. Let your feed dogs work it out. They are your referees. They'll even it all up. You don't have to worry. And if you're going through and it really seems to be a lot of fullness under there, just lift your fabric up as you're going through the feed dogs, and it'll work in all the excess. So before let's say here's my needle and here's the excess, I start lifting it up as I'm sewing. It'll work in all that excess because it's going around the corner. It'll work it in. So that's my best advice. That's the best I can give you. All right. So does everybody understand what I've just said? That's right. Kathleen Ziegler. She's in like Flynn, darling. In like Flynn. Diane 57 is here too. Yay, Diane 57. We missed you, darling. All right. So now, I have some sad news to tell you. I got my Jenny Beyer newsletter yesterday and found out that her husband, his name is John C. Beyer, passed away January 16th after a short illness. They were married almost 58 years. He was an economist, had a PhD in economy. They traveled the world the first, 20 years or so of their marriage. They have 3 children, and he did a lot of good with philanthropic organizations and trying to, I think he was helping towards world hunger and all of that. So they said he was a very gentle, good man. And I'm very sorry for Jenny that she lost him. So that's always hard, that's always hard. So I just thought I would tell you. And I guess y'all all heard it wasn't a fake news thing that No, I just forgot his name. Kobe Bryant did die last week, and his poor 13-year-old daughter, and the coach kids, and sad, sad, sad. All right. While I'm talking about the Jenny Beyer thing, I will show you. Do you remember last week when I showed you the Jenny Beyer fabric I bought? And do you remember the pile of it on this table? Well, I took time this week and I pressed it and folded it on to comic boards. And I had a comic board around here. I was going to show you. Let me see. Oh, poo. I had an extra one, but I put it somewhere so I wouldn't lose touch with it. But if I find it, I'll show it to you later. But the comic boards do a wonderful job. They took all of that. Isn't this nice? Isn't this nice? My new rule is new fabric that comes in here has to be folded and put in its proper place. But I mean, this little bit of space for that whole mountain of fabric, it's a good thing. So then, while I know where a comic board is, but anyway, while I'm talking here, I wanted to just show any of you who weren't here with us Thursday night when we do our live landscape / art quilts. This is what I started, and I can't wait to work on it. I'm like a kid in a candy store. So it's going to be an animal quilt, but this is the background I'm working on first. So anyway, I just thought I would show you any of you who might like to tag along with us and play. And that's all we're doing. All you need is a cheap piece of muslin or fabric as your foundation and your bits and scraps. And we're going to, mine, believe it or not, is going to be about flamingos. But when I looked at the flamingos together, they reminded me of a group of ballet dancers. Then I thought of Edgar Degas from Paris, France. Thank you, Diana Wright. And he was born in 1834 and he passed in 1917. I think I misquoted and said 1927. It was 1917. And I even online found a early moving picture clip of him walking on a street in Paris. And do you know what's sad? He went nearly blind. He was legally blind by the time he passed. So I can't imagine creating such beautiful art. But anyway, I'm doing a funny quilt. And you know what? I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. So, okay. So if any of you want to go on Google and type in Degas early motion film or movie film or something. And it only lasts just a few seconds because he passed at 1917. So we're talking early. And it's fascinating to see him. So, okay. I just want to show you, join us on Thursday, have whatever bird you would like to work on and join us. All right. We have a couple good things to work on. And I do want to say again, in case Cheryl came in, I forgot all about Kiwi. I remembered her earlier, but I don't have her set up. I can't just go grab her. Or maybe I can. I'll holler to Mark to bring her down. I don't know. Maybe by the end. Let's see how it goes. All right. And we've talked about the Rubik's Cube. So now I have two fun things to do with you. And don't forget, we always do photos. And I've got some good photos to show you by the end of this. Today, we're going to work on two projects. And I'm going to start with the Valentine's quilt because for the other thing, I have to get it plugged in and warming up. So, let me plug this in. There we go. All right. So while this is warming up, I'll show you a Valentine's quilt because I just wanted to I love doing seasonal things and this is quick and easy. So, all right. here is what I'm working on. Let me back this up. Uh-oh, it says I'm recording. I don't mean to be recorded. I don't need to record. Okay, so I don't know if y'all remember when I bought this fabric from Pineapple Fabrics, but I love it. And I think it's a Stonehenge. So I cut an 18-inch square of this out. And then, okay, we have the information about this quilt. We have it ready for you. This was done by give it just a moment. It'll focus in. On Point Quilter. She's the one I was telling you about who teaches EQ8 programs. So, all right. So this is a free pattern that she put out there. Here is a photo of here is an image of the layout. You know what? I do think I forgot. I will show you what it looks like when we go to photos. But what I've done is I've taken a fusible with paper backing. I think this is a Heat and Bond product, but just any of the fusibles with the paper backing. And I printed out the free templates. And there were 2 pages of free templates. Okay? And they are all marked A through M. A through M. And so what I did then is took, Heat and Bonds. Okay. So what I did then is I took this inexpensive little light box, or you can use your window, put the paper side up, laid it on top of the templates, and carefully, I ended up cutting out all of my templates from a piece of heat and bond, about 6 inches by 10 inches. That's all it took. Okay? And so what I did then is just laid this on the light box, or you can use a window, and traced around with a pencil or a pen, traced around the design. Then when I had them all traced out, then I sat here and cut them out. So the fusible is on this side, and this is the paper. And so I just cut them all out so I have an accurate pattern. Now, what I do, I ironed it. I auditioned 12 pieces of fabric because I decided, and this is a great use for your scrap pile, I decided that I wanted each of my squigglies, which will make stylized hearts, I wanted each of them to be a different color, okay? Now, it doesn't make the fabric stiff. It depends on how thick of a fusible product you get. But, so I chose colors that I thought went well with this background, but I wanted them to be different. And I kind of hope that I've made them light and dark a little bit. I wanted to show you, I am so frugal. I was trying to make piece number I, and I ran out of room for this whole piece. I'm so cheap. Look what I did. I cut it in 2 pieces, and I put registration marks so I could make sure it lined up. Is that cheap or what? And what I ended up using was heat and bond, yes. So now the paper came off, but the sticky is on the fabric. But let me quickly cut out a couple of these, and then I'll show you. How do I place these because they do look a little random. But I wish I had had more time. I would have had all these cut out. But my Becky called and we chatted, and I said, you know what, that was more important. So it made me run a little behind, but it was so great catching up with her. So that's my daughter who is this year going to be 42. You see how old I am, ladies? So anyway, I just very carefully follow the paper around, trying not to cut the paper. But if I do a little bit, it's not a big deal. And I've decided that once these are fused on, then to make sure they stay in place, I'm going to use my YLI invisible thread. Let me show you the YLI invisible thread, and I'm going to zigzag them down because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is just something fun for Valentine's Day, and I'd like to have this put on the wall within the next couple days. So let me just pull out a couple of these. All right, so these are going to be put in what pretty much amounts to a circle. So then you've got to figure out, well, how do I know where to put them on the fabric? And that's what I'm going to get ready and show you. And you see how I marked the template with the letter of that particular piece, because that way I know exactly where it should go. Okay? All right. So, and maybe if I have time after I've shown you a few things, I can keep working on this. But let me see. To start putting it together, I need piece D and piece E. Let me see. Here's piece E. So let me cut out one more, and then I will show you. So today here, it's in the 60s, upper 60s, I think they said. And it started out a little chilly this morning, but we're so excited here. For a year and a half, Business 40 that takes you right downtown has been closed while they try to upgrade. They had overpasses that were ancient and starting to corrode, and a truck hit one of them, and then it had to be closed down. Just major revitalization. We're an old little city, and it was time to, to put some gloss and pizzazz and bling on this girl. And we are an old tobacco town, so, but you know how everything changes. Okay, so this is piece G. I need D and E, and here's D. Okay. So see, I've got three others that, okay. So what I want to show you now is you have a circular design. Can you see that circular design? So what I'm going to do is take this square and fold this up here and iron it on the halfway point. Then carefully fold it again and iron it. And I've noticed that this pattern, you've got a top and a bottom, but then you have two on the sides. So instead of just leaving it in fourths, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so I've ironed it in half, then I've ironed it in half the other way. And let me make sure I got that again, nice and good. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to fold it into a large triangle with all my folded edges here, open edges here. Now I'm going to take and put a crease in it real good. Both sides, nice crease. And let me show you why I do that. Then that becomes registration points. Okay, so I can see, you might not be able to see, but I can see very clearly all of my fold lines. So now I want to put piece D and piece E on. Those are the top two. And I see that you don't bring it too close to the middle. You leave an open space down here. So, and I'm just going to eyeball that and try to guess, although it'll probably help me when I have if I had all the pieces, it would be better, because then I would know what kind of space they need. But I'm going to kind of look at this. D. Now, you know what's funny is I'm surprised that when you use this template, this design, I would have had to cut these the opposite way. So I'm going to have to make my own. No, I don't. If she said turn them over and cut them, I missed it. So, but anyway, these are going to be a little backwards. So I'm just going to look at it and make this a little bit backwards, which means that where this heart, the line in the middle would come right down here, it's going to be a little bit to the right here. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off the paper. And you know, to peel off the paper, to make it easy, just kind of tear it, and then the paper will come loose from the fabric. See that? You can also score it with a pen. But now I look at this, and I know it's got to be a little bit over center on the bottom. So I put that there. Then I'm going to tear this piece. And I'm going to put this one right here. Okay. Now I'm going to look at this and see. I think this needs to turn a little bit more up and down. But you know, remember, it is my quilt and I can make it exactly what I want it. All right. I'm still going to turn this just a little. I don't want it being too cockeyed. All right. I like where that is. So now I'm going to take and press it down. And just read your heat and bond and see how long to iron it on. Now, what worries me... Oh, bye, Bonnie, sweetie. What worries me is this pink is not quite as dark. Maybe I should have done it on a less busy piece of fabric. But you know what I can do with that? I can take ink tints and outline it, or I can take a dark thread and outline it. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is lay out some of my other colors. I've got G, and the G is supposed to be here. So this will be the next one over here. Let me peel this off. Okay, and this one will fit here. And see, I have this registration line, so I know to keep it up close to this one. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and press that in place. Okay, so do you see how this does? And I'm a little concerned that the background is very busy. So although it might make it just all fun, I don't have to worry about making any other unusual designs or anything, because I pretty much just let it be, you know. So I might just do that. So anyway, I would have to cut out some more of these. And right now, I don't want you to have to just see all of that, at least not for this moment. Although if I do F real quick, I can put it there. Let me cut this F real quickly. And it goes right beside the other one I just put on. So be aware, if you do these templates, cut them all the same design. To fit them in, don't turn them upside down, some of them, and some of them leave them right side up. They must all go in the same direction. And if you want it to look just like the example, you're going to have to use the underneath side of the templates. But I've always learned use templates the printed side up, but as long as you just do all of them in the same direction. These are directional and you can't switch back and forth. All right, so now I'm just going to tear this real quickly. Tear the paper loose from this. And here we go. And now this one, let me bring you down just a little. There we go. This one, okay. And to make the main thing is with these is make sure that the ends practically close up. Okay. All right. So now, all right. So I like it. I think it's going to be cute, light, and refreshing, and then I'll figure out what border I want to put and what size. I might want it just a little bit bigger than the hearts, but I think that's kind of a cute, refreshing little design. And it just lets me know that the dark fabrics show up better. So either very dark or very light might help the design show up. All right. So that is something that's free for you and uses just little bits of scraps, and I think you'll enjoy it. And it should be done. I mean, I could sit down here and have this done, totally done in a half an hour. It's something I could even quilt. You know what would be really cute? I can quilt around the hearts that are on the fabric. And it's small enough I can do it right on my regular sewing machine. And it's something different. So I know that Susan put the location, but it's called Valentine block by On Point Quilter. And it makes a 12 by 12 block. All right. And here are some of the other fabrics. I'm auditioning for it. So now let me move this out of the way and show you what I promised you last week we would do. And I absolutely love them, ladies. Love, love, love them. So I think it's a project worth doing. Let me clean up my area. All right. Let me make sure. Oh, I was zoomed in. Okay. So for the next project, now some of you have seen me do this before, but honestly, it's worth repeating. And I adore them. This is my new favorite thing that I saw. And Just Get Her Done Quilts taught me this. And she also recently, Bonnie told us she had this, how much do quilts cost? And a way to figure out what your quilts cost and keep record of it if you'd like. So this, if you go, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. This is Lisa Capon Quilts. This is Lisa Capon's. I love this. And, you know, Lisa comes in here and enjoys time with us. So if she comes by today, thank her for this. But it will give you, like if you want to sell your quilts, how will you know what kind of price to put on them? So it really gives you a clear-eyed view of how to keep track of what your quilts actually cost. So I forgot this. Go to Lisa Capon Quilts and look for her YouTube video that talks about how to price your quilts. That's it. Okay. So here is my first tray. Yeah, she sure did. So that is a wonderful, and that's where I got that. I had to look down at the bottom. But here's one of my foam core board trays. Do you see how hello, Cheryl. Do you see how absolutely simple and sturdy this is? And you can go to the dollar store and you spend $1, you can make one tray, and they are wonderful. Somebody asked if you can paint them, and I didn't take the time to try it out. I apologize. But I'm not sure I would trust it to stay on. Depends on what kind of paint you get. And for me, I would use acrylics, but I wonder if it would actually stay on. But I think a great addition to this would be maybe a piece of flannel put down on the bottom to keep your quilt blocks from moving around. What do you think? So I'm going to show you right now how to make one of these. Now, Mark came down because he saw me running a little late, and he cut the pieces out for me. And so we had to do it very quickly. And you take your foam core, you mark your lines, and you use just a razor knife. And you can, hi, Jamie's Crafty World. And you can use this on top of one of your old cutting mats so that you can, and then use a ruler and just cut. They're very easy to cut. All right. So these are the bottoms for 2 of these. And to measure them, I just took what I already had made, put it on the foam core, and so I'm going to now go ahead and assemble this. I've got the cutest hen outside this window. Can you see her? Hey, chick, 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 chick. So that's one of my girls. She's an Americana. She's one of the ones that lays the green eggs. Okay, sorry about that. I told you, see, squirrel, I got distracted. But it's just so cute when they come up to the window and look at me like, Mama, you have anything good to snack on? So, okay, here we go. All right. All right, so here's the bottom. Then you cut out. Mark said, not all these are the same size. I was like, I know. I don't always cut things out accurately, you know, I was in a hurry. So I'm going to use these 2 that are about the same size. Now, one thing I talked to you about that I've been wanting to do is to cut these at a slight angle, because if I cut these in, these are the side pieces. If I cut them at a slight angle, then the handles will lean outwards, and then you can stack them that much easier. And what these are project containers. And this year, I'm all about finishing up projects. So see that? I didn't make it into a big deal or anything. And it came out pretty good. And just cut the both sides. So now let me get this glue gun. And what I'm going to do is go along. Let me move this board off, so I want it to be very clear for you to see what I'm doing. Okay? I take this hot glue gun and run a nice substantial bead of glue all down this edge. Let me get another stick in to drive it through. All right. Run a substantial bead of glue down this edge. All right, and then quickly before it cools off, I'm going to take a side piece and put it on there. Okay, just kind of hold it down there. Then I'll do the same thing over here. So see, it's just pretty simple. Cut the foam core is only $1 a piece at the dollar store. Or if you go to Walmart, you can get a 4-pack for about $7 or $8. And this is the least expensive but best thing you could ever make. And I did learn this, a version of this that's where I learned a version of this from Get Her Done Quilts. She did drawer insets, but I wanted something that I could have outside that. So now what I did with this is cut these taller. I traced the side of this tray I've already made before. I traced it, then traced out the handle cut that I'm going to make. So let me just grab two of these. They look reasonably the same. And then before I glue these on, now is the time to cut out the little handles. And these handle grips are nice because it really does help you hold on to the project board. And I'm just carefully keeping my hands away. I'm not trying to do this pretty right now. In fact, I can show you a way to make it look better after I've cut it out. But I just kind of go around loosely following that. I'm going to cut through again enough to at least dent the other side or mark it. Okay, come around this end, carefully keeping your fingers away. The older I get, the less I like to hurt myself. And now you can kind of see the lines where I was cutting, so I can come in here and finish it up from the other side. Keep your hands away from the knife, ladies. The last thing you want to do is cut yourself. Okay, so now you pop this out. And what I was going to show you is there's ways of finishing this up to be nicer. You can just take the edge of a closed pair of scissors and rub it on here. And it will smooth out the edges. Kind of tilt it each way. You can even get sandpaper. Sandpaper would do an even better job. So I will probably get some sandpaper or take like these rubber handles. You just kind of want to burnish it. See how you kind of burnish it down so it looks smoother. All right. And then just go along and get any little ridges up. Okay, so now that I've got this handle marked, I'm going to come along with the glue again. All right, an emery board, what a great idea that is. I'm going to put a little glue against this upright and put a little glue right along this side. All right. Now I'll take this, and remember, it's going to be at an angle, which will help the boards stack against each other. All right. I just hold it just a second. But I like this change of design because see how it leans out? All right. All right, now, oh, I hate to take the time to cut this out, but I really need to do it before I put this on. It's just, it would dent the board to try to cut it out once it was glued together. But you notice I'm cutting away from my hand, and I'm really keeping my hand away because I have to do this or I will hurt myself. I never told y'all this. I'll give you one of my stories. So we were getting ready for my oldest daughter to graduate from high school. We wanted to have a big family party, and we decided we needed to get the deck enlarged because we hadn't had a chance to build the deck like we wanted, because we built the house just a 4 years before she graduated high school, and we hadn't had a chance to build a nice deck. So we said, okay, we'll build a deck and get that done before her graduation. Well, we had this table saw that wasn't in the best shape, and the blade would just kind of hang up on it. And without thinking, I saw my husband at the time take the blade and spin it to get it running again. What I didn't take the time to think about is he had it unplugged when he did that. So without thinking, the blade wasn't moving. I grabbed the blade to spin it, and it was on. And it caught my finger. Do you see these little lines right there? I am so lucky it only caught the skin of my finger. But right here was a vein that would not stop bleeding. I had to go to the emergency room, and they used a pediatric needle and put 18 stitches. This finger looked like hamburger. So I just thought I would tell you, I've learned to be very cautious. So it was so funny. We grabbed a towel because, of course, it started bleeding like murder. And my daughter, she said, Mom, when you came in, you said very calmly and quietly that, well, Mama has hurt herself a little, so I'm going to go to the hospital, but I'll be fine. But I need to go to the hospital and just have them clean it up and everything. She said, when I heard how calm you were, I knew that you were hurt pretty bad. And on the way to the hospital, because it bled so much, you couldn't tell what was going on. All I knew was I had caught my finger in the saw blade, and I was thinking, please don't let me lose that finger. And as it turned out, no, it just got I'm lucky it just got the skin and the muscle and, those little things, and they were able to repair it. But boy, I learned, be careful. Do not tempt the fates. Because I get so excited, jump in with something, with both feet. All right, so now do you see this? Do you see? I know, bubble wrap, that is for sure. So do you see this? Now, this is pretty good, see? But what really makes this sturdy, what really makes this work is this next step. You take the glue gun on the inside and you glue up every seam straight up like that inside corner. I'll do it over here so you can see. You put hot glue straight up that seam. See that? That's what really makes this sturdy. You come along the bottom and you glue up this seam. I'm so thankful to Get Her Done Quilts for showing me this, because I love these things. I really do. So now I turn it around this way. I've already gone up this corner. So now I will go up this corner. And I only do it from the inside. I like the outside to look a little neat and tidy. And it's like you're caulking it, but you're doing it with hot glue. You see, I run it in to get it all in the crevices and a little bit up the sides really good. Now I turn it. Whoops. I hadn't done both of these ends good. Let me do it again. Go right up this edge. Right up this edge. Whoops. Just keep my finger away from that glue. And I'm just sitting here thinking, Diana Wright, I forgot to get a bowl of ice water. And I said, oh, Diana's going to say, Deb, did you get your bowl of ice water? No, I forgot. I'm sorry. So this is my third one now. And I'm going to make 4 or 5. I'm just not sure how many. Okay, so now all of the inside edges have been glued. And like I say, I think I would like to buy some inexpensive flannel and line the inside with the inexpensive flannel, because then stuff won't slide around in there. But this is starting to cool down, and you won't believe how sturdy this is. And watch this. This is what I love best. Whoops. I love that now, because these sides lean out just a little bit, look at this. They stack beautifully. Is that the coolest thing? And all it is foam core board. It is foam core board. And doesn't weigh anything. Anybody can make this themselves. Anybody can make this themselves. Any woman, because all you need is a razor knife and a hot glue gun. You can do this. So let me give you some measurements. I meant to do that and forgot. Okay. So now this is my third. I have 3. One has a project over there. And what I do is, before I get ready to do a show with y'all, I put everything I'm going to talk about in it. And it's wonderful. But mainly, since I move from project to project, I'm going to stack these up on a table, and I'll tell you how much space. This is what I love best, because table space is always a premium in our room. This piece is 20 inches long. 20 inches long. Scrap batting would work perfectly, Cheryl, yes. And it is 14 inches wide. So 20 by 14 or 14 by 20. And the side on this is 2 inches high. And this gets up to 3 inches high, so I can put a little handle in. Okay? So these end pieces are 14 inches long, which, yep, that's 14 by 20. So what you do is, as you're cutting it, 20 was the depth of the foam core board. But I love that. I love these things. They are wonderful. And they have enough room that you all, like Susan is working on the Rubick Cube. Hello, Vicki Robles. It's so good to see you. Aw. Oh, boy, I bet you that was heavy. So this is a nice size, and it's comfortable to hold. 14 by 20. You can get everything you need to make one of these out of one sheet. So, in fact, I had some left over. I took 2 sheets. I had some left over. So, any questions about this? And Cheryl, I'm sorry I forgot to set up for Kiwi. I knew I was going to have her on today, but then I got so busy getting ready for these projects that I totally forgot. But don't forget, the beauty of these is, with my new design, by arching out the end, by just, you saw me, just take scissors and cut it at an angle, then look what happens. They are now stackable. So in a 14 by 20 space, then you just go up. How many projects could you? This altogether stacked up is 4 inches, and you can have 2 whole projects in this. Isn't that nice? Exactly. And it doesn't break the bank. It is so easy. So easy, inexpensive, a glue gun, a little razor knife, and you've got a wonderful project container. I got the idea from watching Get Her Done Quilts do drawer lining shelf systems. Like you could take and put dividers in it with your leftover pieces of scraps. You could put, dividers so you keep your projects separate. You can do anything. So there we go. All right. So any questions about these project containers? And, if somebody wanted to get fancy, they could wrap them in fabric, glue fabric on them. I mean, you could do whatever you want. Oh, Marty made you a wood one. Oh, that's great. I mean, aren't they just so nice? And not everybody has a wonderful Marty. So this way now you just stop by Dollar Store. And, they do have, oh, no problem, Susan. They do have foam core in different colors if you can find them. You got to look. So, but anyway, I will have 4 of them when I finish making this. And I think I need to make 4 more. So I have the foam core. It's right down there. I just have to do it. So, Vicki, it is so good to see you. Oh, my son-in-law came down with the flu. I told my daughter to tell him he better take care of himself, because if not, I'm going to come there and take care of him. And I said, that'll put the fear of God in him. He was like, no way. Now, I actually get along really well with my sons-in-law, so that's very nice. So now what I'm going to do while we're sitting here and talking, did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? Let me unplug my glue gun. And I did. I talked about the photos. I need photos. Hold on. So, yeah, next time I use the glue gun, Diana, I will have a bottle of water handy, because you know what? It's silly to take chances like that. All right. So hold on just a second. Let's go look at some photos, because I've got some great ones. And as I told you, I have Russell photos. Aw, yay. So anyway, all right. I had my glue gun plugged in, and it was sitting here making a little glue drop sculpture. How talented. You know what? I actually made melted snowmen Christmas ornaments 3 years ago by using glue. You kind of melt it in a little pool, and it kind of makes a flat little snowman. So, all right. Let's go look at photos, and then I'd like to take a couple more minutes and cut some more of this heart out on the Valentine thing, if you don't mind. So, well, I do have a glass of ice water that I drink, and I just would put my finger in there and then not drink it. All right. I know, I look at those glue drops, Nadine, and think, this could become something. Yeah, oh, in fact, let me see if I can show you. Hold on. Now Nadine got me going. Let me show you. So it was something, I saw it online or something, and you take the glue and you do it on a surface like this so you can peel it, and you put a big blob of glue that's his head, and then you make a bigger blob that's his body and fill it in with glue. It uses a lot of glue. And fill it in for his body. And while it's wet, you can put glitter on it. And then you take a little fabric and make a hat, and a little fabric and make a scarf, and like a little orange nose from polymer clay. and little dots for eyes. And cute, cute, cute. Okay, where is, oh, I got some new glitter I can even use. So this is, if you've got hot glue and time on your hands. So, oops, I got to fill him in. He's not got enough down here. Okay, and so now I'm going to take a little glitter and sprinkle on him before he fully cools off. And maybe I can make a hat for him out of glue. And let me see if I can color it. But there he is. And then let me see if I can make him a little nose out of glue. You see how I like to play? Oh, Lord, if y'all could come over here one day, we would have the best time just playing. Okay, so then... so then you just... Now, it's better if the glue is cooled off. Let me see if it's cooled off enough for me to put his eyeballs. And buttons. Whoa, not totally cooled off. But you can put little buttons down his shirt. And then, if this is cooled off, I can color his hat. Okay. And peel off the glue before you put your marker away. Okay, let me see. You see, I just find all kinds of fun things to do. Life is, people who say they get bored, I have never understood it. Never, never, never. All right, so there's his little carrot nose. And then, let me see, here we go. I got the perfect thing. I'm going to take a scrap of fabric and so now you just got a free project in. Remember this for next Christmas. So I've noticed, though, they don't hold up really well in the attic. Oh, that's a little bit big of a scarf. Hold on. Got to make it a little smaller so I don't swallow him up. I used to, when my kids were little, every year I would get them to make some kind of craft for the relatives so they would have something as a gift too. So let me put a little touch more hot glue so I can keep his scarf on him. Hopefully that is still hot enough because I unplugged it a while ago. But anyway, here we go. We have a snowman, and when it fully cools off, sometimes you have to let it wait a while, but when it fully cools off, you peel it off, and there you go. And if you want to make him really show up, you could paint the back of it white, but isn't that cute? I think I'll give it to Mark. So... all right, I'm busy doing so much. I'm not reading all your stuff. I'm sorry. I'll make sure I read it before I'm done. But, all right, that was my hot glue snowman. And of course, I would end up, you won't believe it, the glue left a hole so I could even hang it from the tree. But I'll get some paints and make his little marks a little darker. I'll give it to Mark and he'll go, oh, good, that's nice. All right, so let me now look at your pictures to see what you have been doing, because y'all have been doing some great stuff. Okay, hold on. Just, what am I doing with this arm? Hold on. Here we go. Ugh, I'm having trouble with it. Mark, what have I done wrong? Okay, there it is. Okay. Whew. Goodness, I probably made y'all seasick. Okay. Here we go. Oh, here is a photo or a design. This is what that heart wreath will look like. I hope my computer will bring up the picture right. It sometimes doesn't bring this up right. Come on. Come on. Come on. Here's another one. Isn't this cute? Oh, this is a different design, actually. That's a different design. Here's the design we were working on today. And I think it is precious. On Point Quilter. Thank her for that wonderful pattern. Feel free to tell her you saw it on Our Time to Quilt. But what a talented lady. In fact, I think I have fabric that says something about love. It's just not in reds. So that's what today's quilt is supposed to look like when you're done. All right, now let's go up here. Akko, I'm not sure, did I show this? So I want to show it again. I hope you don't mind, sweetheart. She's such a beautiful woman. And so I love showing our Miss Akko. But look at this gorgeous shawl that she made. Look at the shells. And I mean, it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I want to, and watch when she shows you the shape of it. Is that a work of art or what? Either one, Akko or the shawl, they're both works of art. Isn't that beautiful? And look at where she lives. Look at that countryside. Oh my gosh, Akko, it's just beautiful. I love it. All right, now let's see what else we have. Cheryl, I want to show the Sunday group. Cheryl took this painting, or a photo of a painting. See it? That was her inspiration of this owl, and look what she did for our Landscape Live Thursdays. Look at this beautiful owl she's making, cutting up all the fabrics into the feathers. Isn't that gorgeous? And look how she got those eyes. So I'm tickled. I can't wait to see as this develops. But isn't that wonderful? And this is a pouch she made for her crochet work. So I love that too. All right, let's see what else we have. Oh, I'll save mine because I've got Russell pictures. Okay, here is a quilt from Miss Diana Wright. I think this is the back of one of them that she had quilted. And I love that the back has a pattern on it. That is wonderful. All right, now let me go to, oops, okay. Go back down. All right. Let's see what this is. Oh, is this a whole cloth quilt? Oh, I wish I could see it better. It looks like it would be fascinating, beautiful. I'll have to get a better photo of that, because Miss Diana does gorgeous work. Ah, she's thinking of doing a Rubick Cube too. And she's got a great jelly roll of grunge fabric. Oh, I love it. Okay. Now let's go to the next. She was very happy that she finally finished with these two young women and could get rid of them. I tell you what, Frozen is going to go down in history as the most overdone thing in the world. You can't get away from Frozen. That's cute, hon. And look, she is going to try a Landscape Thursday class too. I can't wait to see what bird she puts on that. But beautiful, beautiful work, shapes, use of fabrics, gorgeous. I love it when y'all just bring out your creativity. It's so much fun. Here, this is that quilt that she was showing us a few minutes ago. I thought it was the back. I think that's the front. It's beautiful. Beautiful quilting, Diana. Just gorgeous quilting. That's Girls of Talent. If any of you want your quilts to be quilted the best, we can put you in contact with Miss Diana. That woman is talented. All right. So now let's see what else we have. We showed you Jody's. Susan I'm so excited because Susan has started doing Rubick Cube, and I'm thrilled. And here's her beautiful selection of colors. I love her blues and purples and greens. It's just beautiful. And then I think here a little bit more of a close-up, gorgeous fabrics. I can't wait to see what hers looks like. Beautiful. And I love shopping a stash. You can't do better than that. And the price is certainly right. Oh, I've got a Sonia here. Oh, yes. Miss Sonia finished her Jenny Beyer Stellaris, right? I think it's Stellaris this time. It is so pretty. Look at those miters. Look at the patterns, how she matched them. They're beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful colors. Look at this quilt. I mean, this is gorgeous. I love that she put that purple in there. Mine won't have that, and I wish it did. That is beautiful. Oh, great job. Great, great, great job. All right. Sonia's very talented. She's so much more patient and so much of a better seamstress than me because she takes the time to get it right. And I admire that so much. Just beautiful. That's a work of art. And I think you have to say, as difficult as this looks, Jenny Beyer's pattern writer and her fabrics make it so much easier than you thought it could be. So thank you, Miss Jenny Beyer. All right, let's see what. Oh, yes, let's see what Deb has of Mr. Russell. Here we go. I just love, love, love this baby. And I've decided in March I'm going to go up and see him and be there for his first birthday. When I looked at his wife, my son's wife and my son and their beautiful heads of hair, I said, you know that baby's going to have gorgeous hair. That's going to be one pretty baby. So he's coming out of a bath. Look, isn't he cute? Got big hands, I've noticed too. Big hands. So he's going to be a sturdy fellow. There's Mama giving him a kiss. I love that. That child gets so much love. And you know, you can't ask for more than that. Here is his 10-month picture. I can't believe he's a little person now. And here they all are eating snacks in the evening. Isn't that the sweetest? I love it. He's in his high chair, and then my daughter-in-law, and then my son. And I told you they're expecting another one. I haven't heard the results today of the doctor's appointment, but I will be calling them soon to find out. So my son, the little Russell, and beautiful Nikki, they are such a happy family, and you don't know what that means to me. Oh, that was a sticker. I want to have another. And this week we had a sad moment. We all gave a moment of silence when Mark's car left forever. You know, it. Unfortunately, he was losing cooling liquid out of his radiator, and so he thought he would buy a sealant, but he realized he was losing it into the engine. So either his main seal or a crack or something happened, and it's not good for an engine to get cooling fluid in it. So it was toast, and it was 19 years old. It was a convertible, and when I met him 15 years ago, I thought, oh my goodness. He drove up to the airport in that convertible in Texas, and I thought, oh my goodness. And he took me through downtown Dallas at night to see the big buildings with the top down on that car. And all I could think of is, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I felt like a country girl. And so that car had a lot of good memories. We would go to the little airport and watch the private jets fly in. And he one time took me for a picnic out in this middle of this big field because he wanted me to see what a big Texas sky looked like. And it was all, that car has so many memories, so many memories. So anyway, we had to say goodbye to it. But such is life. Such is life. All right. There we go. So, oh my goodness. It's getting late now. I didn't even realize. I'm so sorry I kept you this long. Let me come back to the screen. Okay. Oh, that is so neat. Yeah, because boy, riding in a convertible, blow your hair all apart. That is so neat. Oh, I love that. Well, he said he told the car before he left for work, it's your last chance to go back to Texas, but I can't go with you this time. And he said she wanted to, but she just didn't have it in her. So now she's going to go give all her parts so that other sister cars like her can live on. So, well, I better get going. I'm going to take the new car. I'm going to take Mark, and we're going to drive down the reopened highway down through the center of downtown. And of course, I'm going to take the camera with me because I have to take you places like this. This is important. So anyway, oh God, I have the best story about how we met. Oh my God, you wait. Oh yes, I will do that, Miss Cheryl. And Miss Cheryl, I promise I will bring Kiwi down. I totally forgot to set up her stuff, and it was like, oh, I don't have time. But anyway, so I'm going to head off now with my little snowman. And see, I show you sophisticated things. I change your life. So take good care. Mwah. Nadine, you go get some good sleep, sweetheart. It's so good to see all of you here. Thank you for spending another Sunday with me. And until Thursday when it's Landscape Live, and I can't wait to see what else I'm going to do with my flamingos and see what you do with your birds. So if you have any questions, please write me any questions. If you're having a hard time with a quilt and need advice, I love giving advice. So just write me at ourtimetoquilt@twc.com. I'll see you Thursday night, and I'll see you next Sunday. Mwah. Bye-bye. Next Sunday, we'll celebrate Valentine's Day, okay? All right. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good week, and take good care of yourself. Do something special just for you. All right. Mwah. Bye, guys. You're the best. You are all the best. Take care. I had a great time, too. I had a great time.